So what do you got? Do you have questions prepared for Andy Galpin?
Well, so Andy Galpin is the head of the exercise science department at Cal State Fullerton. So in my head, he just knows everything about the body. I'm not saying like, yes, he's a doctor by like his degree.
Okay, so he probably.
So he's the smartest person I know that would probably be the most, if he's taking a guess, knowledgeable about the coronavirus.
Okay, I like that.
You know, like, let's say me and you are watching something and they're using big words. I mean, you're like, I don't know what that means.
Andy Galpin might know.
1,000,000%.
Okay.
Man, my beard looks really good.
Does it?
I think so. Andy!
What up?
What's up, dude?
How are you guys?
I'm good, man. Holy
Look
shit.
at yourself. You're so
Well,
clean and pretty. What do you just get done job interview?
No, we have you on.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I heard Andy.
You
Galpin
don't have to
was
call me
coming
that. You
on.
can call me Dennis.
All right.
I heard Andy Galpin was coming on. I was like, Dennis, give me a fucking suit jacket. What are you doing?
Yep.
You're embarrassing me.
Jesus.
So he's wearing my my suit jacket.
Oh, my God. You're kidding, were you?
I'm like
You look terrible.
I'm
Jesus
like
Christ.
I'm like a foot taller than him as well. But
Oh, my God.
Well, we were trying to make a joke, you know.
Yeah.
We're both wearing shorts. Well, I am.
You know what? It works. It worked. I liked it. I appreciated it.
Thank you.
I have on Reebok sweatpants.
So what's going on, big dog?
Just trying to survive with 2 children in my house and not being able to like, kick them out.
Man, like in my head, shouldn't you be like curing the coronavirus?
I spend too much of my time working with assholes like you to be doing something important like that.
Yeah, that's pretty true. That's pretty true. But no, your position at Cal State Fullerton is the head of the exercise science department.
No, not even close.
Way off. That's what I tell everybody. Actually,
Yeah,
I tell people I gotta call my scientist, Andy Galpin.
Yeah, okay.
Dr. Andy Galpin.
Scientist works. I am the co-director for the Center for Sport Performance,
Okay.
which is inside that department. So that has a whole bunch of research labs inside of it. So I do run all those, and then all of my research labs. So you're not too terribly far off.
Oh, okay. So you made me feel like I was like, well, Dennis, I'm an English teacher. Like, what do you? Yeah. All right. I was in the ball field. I'm gonna keep telling people that. That's what you are.
It doesn't even matter. My mom still doesn't even know, really.
Yeah.
So she's just like, he's a doctor in LA. I don't really know. like I'm not really either of those things, but fine. That's cool, Ma.
So in my head, like obviously I want to talk to you about a lot of things, but I just told Stan 2 seconds ago, you're probably the smartest person I know who knows the human body.
Tough sell, but all right.
He doesn't,
Right?
He doesn't agree with you there, Dennis.
I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot of people that are really smart. So is this
Right.
what I do for a living? Sure, but there's a lot of really smart people out
Yeah,
there.
for sure. You're just being modest right now.
Or you're very humble. Yeah, he's modest.
So how bad is the coronavirus?
It ain't good. It ain't good at all. I mean, the real problem is, like most people that are halfway intelligent are saying, is it's the fact that people don't really understand math. And what I mean by that is it's the exponential growth that's the problem. So it's the equivalent of like a traditional flu would give, say, Dennis, you got sick with the flu.
Right.
Say 10 days later, you might have infected 13 people. Okay, with corona, that exact same thing would be more like 59,000.
Why? Just because it can spread more easily?
Not even close. Yeah, it's way, way, way faster. And because of how exponential growth works, it doesn't just add, it multiplies every time, right? So you've probably heard that thing where if you take a piece of paper and you fold it in half,
Yeah.
and you did that every day for a month, it'd actually be able to take you from here to the moon. That's what exponential growth looks like.
Wow.
It's not just like, well, it goes higher and higher. No, it goes really high, really fast. So the problem is, it's the medical care. So you already have, like, did you see Durkin's post this morning?
On the bike?
No, with Christine, his girlfriend.
Oh no, I didn't see that. I just saw his bike picture.
She's a nurse in the Bay Area, and they're out. of everything.
Yeah,
They're full.
she's like wrapped in a bubble, I think, or wrapped in. She has like something wrapped around her head.
Yeah. So folks that have to go to the hospital, man, if you're in one of these even reasonably bad areas and you go to the hospital, that could be it for you. Just like a basic flu now is going to kill you, potentially, because they just don't have space. You're going to be laying on a floor in a hallway.
And that's California. They're running out of supplies. We're in New York, where that's all the news is right now is how we have
You're already
supplies.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and y'all fuckers live in a closet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? LA is 20 times the size in terms of distance. You guys are right on each other everywhere.
Yeah.
I think there's like 25,000 or 28,000 people per square mile in New York City.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Long Island's a little different, but that's the city, which is insane.
Yeah. But it's not that far from Long Island to the city. I mean, there's enough commuters going back and forth. You're basically right there.
What's going to happen is if NYC gets like condemned with the coronavirus, they're going to be like, yeah, Long Island, you guys are stuck there simply because these guys are in the middle of you guys getting off of the island.
Yeah, that's a wrap, son.
Yeah.
That's it. And so it shuts down a lot of the things. That's the real problem with it is, like, so people understand, again, like, you can kind of see the same thing with bad science when it comes to, say, supplements or people trying to convince you of different things on the internet. So say that they give you a supplement and they say, okay, it doubles your chance of getting stronger or something.
Right.
Well, you have to understand, if your chance of getting stronger was 1 in 1,000, and it took you from 1 in 1,000 to 2 in 1,000, the number sounds like it's doubling, but it's not actually important, right? Because you still are at 2 out of 1,000. It's not a number that's actually relevant.
Right.
This is the inverse of that, right? It's the same token, but in the scope. It's like, well, now when we double your risk, because it's exponential curve, it's not a linear curve. Now the risk just went from infecting 40 people to 4,000. Right. And then they're going to double, and it's just like before we know, the whole thing is going to be going over. So that's the real problem. It's how infectious this thing and how well it can spread, and just people aren't listening. So that
seems to be the biggest problem. Is people aren't abiding or taking the whatever they're getting. What would you call them? The mandates or the shelter in place orders and whatnot. They're not taking it seriously.
So here's my circle: Stan. Work, my kids, my girlfriend, and I guess her mom.
Yeah, that's enough though. That's enough to keep it going.
Yeah. All it takes is one person to get it. They said, like, what is it called? I watch movies, so that's how I know it. You went to school for it. The RO, like how it reciprocates. They said that the coronavirus is like 3 to 4 times, maybe 5 times. So for every one person it infects, they're going to infect 5 people. Yeah.
So honestly, for me, I haven't been paying too much attention because I'm not leaving the house anyways.
Right.
I mean, I got a 2-week-old baby.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wasn't going to be leaving the house anyways.
Right.
For the most part, because those little guys can't afford to get sick.
Because they have zero immune system.
It's tiny. It's almost nothing.
Especially with shots coming up and stuff like that, right?
Oh, so you just had a kid. 2 weeks, you said?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Well, congratulations. Not the best timing, but...
Thank you. I was wondering how long it would fucking take for you to say, hey, congratulations, you got a 2-week-old. You just blew right by that, wanted to do your own shit. It's all about you guys.
Stan.
That's cool.
I'm the one who did it. You're the one who was blowing past it.
Stan's such a piece of shit. He's lucky I even have him around. I know it.
I'm the one who did it. What do you mean?
You're wild.
Menace, he doesn't have a proper fitting jacket. He doesn't.
How is let's we can come back to it a little later, but how is your daughter dealing with being an older sister?
So she's been hell for 2 weeks.
Wow. Not jealous or
no?
How old is she now?
She's like 21 months. So like a year and 3 quarters.
When do people stop using months? To 24 after 24?
Bro, I stopped using months at like 2, and I would always be like, she's like a year. And they're like, she's 6 months old. I'm like, whatever, it's a year. Like,
you ever seen that movie Grown Ups when it's like, how old is he? He's 48 months. He's 4 because he still sucks on the nipples. Yeah.
But, no, she's not really too jealous. But the problem is, as soon as we brought him home, this corona kicked off, and it's been raining nonstop here. So this poor kid is 2 and hasn't been able to leave the house for 2 weeks.
Yikes.
So she's just going bonkers because she used to go all over. There was like a library time she get taken to, and all these little social activities and the playground.
Yeah.
She's just sort of running around all day, and now we're like, like go back to your room for more books. She's like not having it.
So
So it's been awful.
So one of my old wrestling coaches put up a video to do with your kids. He took a piece of string and he just placed it on the ground, and then he got like various digging tools, and he got like a little book, a little piece of paper that says alive, not alive, and like the kid digs in the soil and tries to find bugs and all, and you can move this little ring wherever you want, and the kid digs. They're gonna get dirty and muddy, but whatever. But it's like a learning.
I've been taking her out in the rain anyways because I'm like, we got to go outside.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's raining. I'm like, I don't care. Go play in the mud.
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
Well, you're in SoCal, so what's the temperature there right now?
I want to see what you're talking about though. I want to see that post.
Okay.
That sounds interesting.
I'll tag you in it.
So, yeah, send that over.
It's pretty good.
I got it. We've been running the gamut, man. I'm like, I keep showing her. I'm like, hey, do you want to go in Dad's ice chest and take an ice bath? And she's just like, no.
No chance, right?
Yeah, I'm like, so there's,
So what's the newborn? A boy, girl?
Boy.
Finally a boy. God.
Finally, it's like make it sound like he's got like 3 girls. Finally a boy.
No, I didn't really care either way, but it's good. And he's mostly healthy.
Yeah.
Had a little scare there, but turns out I think he's gonna be all right. So so mom, like, delivery went way better this time, and everybody, and mom's recovering way better. So now we're pretty good, man.
Yeah.
So now, where you are in SoCal, are you on quarantine? Like, are you in shelter in place? You're supposed to stay in the house?
Kind of. I don't think it's really clear, to be honest with you. I mean, they shut down Cal State Fullerton a couple of weeks ago, so I'm not going there anyways. And then we're told to stay, quote unquote, at home. But they're not patrolling it, they're not enforcing it really or anything like that. Right. So, with the exception of going to the pharmacy, grocery store, and a hospital, you can go to those places. But I don't go to those places anyways. We canceled some of our like checkup appointments and stuff because I'm like, it's just not necessary.
Right.
I don't take him there. I don't want to take our family there. I got a freezer full of deer meat, so we're not going out to the store too much.
Right.
So, we're kind of. I mean, I take her out in the backyard and stuff.
I like it.
But
like
it's about as far as we can get.
So speaking of deer meat, right? So on the last episode, I was talking to Stan about how people were getting a little crazy. Like the gun stores are fucking. There's lines around the block. There's no more ammunition. There's no more guns. So
because you live in New York,
yes,
number one.
Yeah. So I bought a crossbow.
Yeah, of course you did.
Off Amazon. And, yeah.
A $400 crossbow, right?
Well, I mean, hey, I would hate for if someone comes in here, I'm like, hey, get out of here. And then it like fucking doesn't do awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
No.
I'd be like, man, I should have spent the extra $100. And now me, Stan, and my family's alive.
Yeah, exactly. And imagine you get that cheaper bow and it doesn't fire and Stan gets raped or something. It's just an awful, awful experience for everybody involved.
Yeah.
You want no part of that. So, no, I'm with you. Now, I'm already fortunate because I'm fairly well stocked with firearms as it is, so that didn't really matter to me.
Yeah.
Do you have a crossbow as well?
I do not have a crossbow, though.
I mean, that's just something that's fucking pretty cool to have in general.
Yes. I've seen people that's right? That's like next level taking out deer or a human is a crossbow.
Yeah.
I used to chase rabbits and quails and stuff like that around with a real bow and arrow when I was a kid, but crossbows, I feel like when we go into like Mad Max style.
Right. I'm going to be, everybody's going to be trying to get a crossbow. I'm like, I already got one. You guys already got your guns, but we're all out of ammo.
Exactly.
But I got bolts. The crossbow doesn't even shoot arrows. It shoots bolts.
You're ahead of the curve right now.
Thank you.
Way ahead of the curve.
Yep.
But he's got it still hasn't come, so he's got to do some target practice.
Shut up! Don't.
Or it's here. It's in the box in the front of the house. Yeah.
God damn.
He's blowing up your spot. Stan's just blowing up the spot.
This episode was filmed a couple days ago.
Well, Because the thing is, all I need to do is just shoot you and slow you down. Then I get my hands on you. Then it's that's it.
Yeah,
It's been a while since you've been out there, man. I don't know. You might be a little bit rusty. Get up to the guy and you go to throw some punches and get fatigued. You're going to be out of breath. Those 6-minute miles, maybe looking like 9-minute miles now. I don't know, man.
Well, I promise you I could run a sub 6 mile. It might be painful, but I could definitely do it. And then how long ago did I go and spar? Was that a month ago?
Oh, that was like, maybe a month ago.
Three weeks ago?
A month ago, maybe.
A month ago? I went in to see what the kids got. Hadn't punched anything in over a year since my last fight. And I went in there, fucking cracked my neck. Kid still got it, right, Stan?
Yeah, he was doing good. Going with
taking these young bucks down.
Going with a bunch of young bucks.
I didn't realize that you could go in there and spar with high schoolers, so that's good. Great. That's awesome.
Well, hey, anything to keep them, make you feel good.
Some solid amateurs.
Yeah.
Definitely some solid amateurs.
They had a mouthpiece in.
You got to start somewhere. You got to restart somewhere, right? Hang on. And me and you have talked about this where, like, my body would be really run down in, like a fight camp. And I'm like, yo, I just need to go with, like, easy people for my mental.
Yeah. Yep.
You know?
Yeah, no questions. Yeah, confidence is pretty important.
So that segued into my next thing. So me and Andy have worked, and you've been mentioned, I don't know, hundreds of times on this show.
Endlessly.
I talk about you all the time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because how handsome you are. No, you go over everything with me from testing my weaknesses and flexibility and mobility to even a little bit of nutrition, volume, all these things. What other fighters do you work with or have you worked with? And then we'll get into your current people you're working with.
Loads of people in the past. Right now, I spend probably the most of my time right now is on some Major League Baseball players.
Okay.
Just we were getting ready to go into season, and then things got canceled, spring training. But in terms of fighters, Helen is still going out there, so she's a amateur wrestler, and just qualified weight. Probably
we need to get her on the show. But you'll love her, Stan.
Oh, Kylan? I do love her.
No, not Kylan.
Oh, I did.
Helen.
Helen,
yeah.
The last name with a Y, right?
Helen Maroulis.
What's her name?
No, Maroulis, M-A.
Maroulis, yes. I've seen her
Maroulis.
before.
I'll connect you guys. She's great.
And we want Tatiana as well.
Yeah, right now Suarez.
I could probably just message her, but
yeah, I can connect you guys too.
Yeah.
And then Brian Ortega is those are the two ones I'm spending the most time with right now.
Oh,
ooh, throw us Brian Ortega. We would love to have Brian Ortega one day, if possible.
Brian is looking for plenty of things to do right now because everybody's bored out of their mind. So I'm sure they'd all say yes right now.
Yeah.
Those two dudes. Who am I missing? A couple of girls. In PFL, Jenna Fabian just fought in Muay Thai, and she's getting ready to fight PFL again. And then a bunch of girls and guys that are sitting on the sidelines right now waiting for fights.
Yeah,
for the most part. But I'd say the vast majority of my time for fighters is Tatiana because what I do and the way I work, it doesn't work with volume of people. So it's it's super in depth and super high touch. So I try to keep those numbers down.
Yeah, I feel like you have a lot of people right there.
The total is probably 15 right now.
Wow.
Scott Holtzman is always there.
Yes.
But Scotty's a fucking pro, dude. He's such a pro. So there's lots of people. I'm forgetting them all. But
well, even that.
Those are some of the big.
We've talked about you enough on this show that Dennis was just telling me, no, he's definitely been on the show. I'm like, bro, he hasn't been on the show. Yeah, he has. Yeah. That's how much we talk about you. Every 2 or 3 episodes, you're brought up 100%.
Yeah.
We've had on PJ Nestler, Chris Algieri, Ryan Parsons, Pat Cummings.
Yeah.
So, you've always been in the conversation. And obviously, your work with Dennis, he's always, when I used to work with Andy, he's always telling when I used to work with Andy Galpin stories.
Oh, shit.
Throwback Thursdays.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's evolved, though, man. It's quite different. I'm having a lot of fun. The cool part about having, Tatiana being local is she comes down and trains with me.
Yeah.
So I get to actually do the PJ part, I get to work with her daily at Fullerton, and then Ortega is kind of the same thing.
Real quick,
So
for
it's
my
different.
for my pride, are his numbers better than mine?
It depends on what you're talking about.
Because I was better than Conor in most things.
Physically, I would have no shame in telling Brian this because he knows.
Yeah, they're just
I
way
think
more
if we did
flexible
like
than me.
If we did like a physical combine between you two, it wouldn't be much of a contest.
Right.
Well, even you worked with McGregor as well, right?
I did, yeah.
Hang on, the UFC definitely saw what we did and were like, "Hey, we need you to do Conor and DC."
Yeah, I mean the whole PI is copied off my system.
Yeah, Dennis has
So
a few of
they
those
looked at
stories.
everything I was doing, and they're like, "All right, we got to build a PI, and this is exactly what we're doing." So I mean, I know all those guys really well, really close.
Yeah.
So
Dennis was like,
No,
here's what we're going to do, Dana. We're going to put me on the Jimmy Fallon show. He's from my hometown. They were like, great idea. Rhonda, you want to go on Jimmy Fallon?
And like 2 weeks later, she was on. I was like, "Yo, what the fuck?"
stop,
I
really,
swear. Yeah.
man. It's funny. You could tell even more, but I could tell 100 stories like that about Dana and the UFC in general. You could probably tell 1,000.
I'm not saying that's
not-
really how it went down, but that's how
It just
yeah.
in my head, I'm like,
Yeah.
hang on, I just saw him like not too long ago. I said we should get me on the Jimmy Fallon show because, and then I don't know if I said it to anyone or if I thought it. I was like, man, I would be awesome on Dancing with the Stars. And then fucking Paige was on Dancing with the Stars. I'm like,
I don't think you had much of a chance on that one, bud.
yeah. Hang on, dude.
he's got some moves.
Do you
He's
ever
got
see
some
how I
moves.
move, dude?
I ain't talking your dancing ability. I'm talking about who they want to put on that show.
Oh, yeah. They would have put Dennis with like a
Well,
6
I mean,
foot.
I tell you what.
They would have put you
I
with like
tell
a
you what.
6 foot Swedish broad.
At the end of that season, I'd be a house name and loved by millions.
Hey, right now, if the UFC is trying to ramp up their Puerto Rican viewership, you would smash that market.
Oh, come on.
You would crush it.
It's just too bad that there's not enough Puerto Ricans, I guess. I don't know.
If you like 12 of them.
You know, like, it's not even worth it.
Yeah, that probably what happened. They were worried that they're like, if we put this guy on Dancing with the Stars, he's going to be a household name, and then people are going to write in and be like, yo, this guy is too pretty, stop letting him fight. And there'd be petitions, and they wouldn't let you fight anymore.
Yeah.
It's probably what happened.
Man.
But Dennis was almost on Jimmy Fallon, was almost on Dancing with the Stars. Was he the first UFC fighter you worked with?
No, Durkin.
No.
No,
No,
Jake
before that.
Ellenberger?
No.
I know you had over, what's his face? The fucking, who's the legend with one shitty arm?
Oh, Boss.
Boss.
Yeah, Boss.
You worked with Boss.
Boss has one shitty arm? What do you mean?
Yeah, his one arm has, he's got nerve
Atrophy?
damage, right?
Yeah.
His right arm doesn't work, really. But even dudes, honestly, there was a bunch of dudes that I trained with and worked with before I even got to California that ended up making it to the UFC. So dudes when I used to live in Indiana.
Oh, so you're from Indiana originally?
No, I did my PhD there.
Okay.
So I had actually even in Memphis there was guys that I started working with that were none of them made it to the UFC because this was like 2005, but they were on like Strike Force and some of the big stuff right there. And then when I went to Indiana, then there was probably 4 or 5 guys that I worked with that made it to the UFC. From there, so
where does Dennis Bermudez rank as far as the greatest MMA fighter athletes you've ever worked with?
Hang on, and the thing is, the reason why we like this show is we make fun of me and everybody else.
I told you, man. Like, there's you know what the funny story. I don't know if you're gonna find it funny, Dan, but the thing about sports and the thing about combat sports and one-on-one sports is, like, there's a real thin hair between, you know, like all-time great legend and pretty good. Right. I mean, you get the not just horrific judging in, what was it, 4 straight fights?
Oh yeah.
I mean, just brutal judging in 3 straight fights.
3 bad judges and one bad referee.
And the whole history of your whole legacy is different.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's now you go from like, wow, like great UFC career, but all of a sudden like, shit, guy is, you know, 12-2 in the UFC or whatever the fuck it was, like. So it's, man, that the line between that, it really is different. So sometimes with combat sports, man, it's not fair. Like a good example is Conor versus Aldo. Like, can you really say Conor's that much better than Aldo? what we really didn't get to see because it was a one punch.
Right.
Boom. Like if you say Conor versus Nate, well, now we've seen those dudes fight for like 35 minutes.
Yeah.
We got a pretty good idea of what their skill sets look like. What about George versus Masvidal and Askren? Like 5 seconds. You don't really get to see. So combat sports are hard like that, because it's like the game. You don't get to play the regulation every time.
Because it's almost like people like he finished him in 4 seconds. Like he's that much better. Like no.
You're like, how are you gonna say he has a chance? He beat him in 13 seconds. Like, you don't know fighting. Yeah.
You kind of sitting there like, I mean, you have a very strong point.
Yeah, but it's just hard to judge things like that. Like when you talk about the NBA and LeBron versus, like, you have such a huge sample size.
Yeah.
And they get caught with one bad game or one bad this, you get to like, well, okay, it washes out, but with fighting, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And even like, go back to your first fucking fight when you knocked Rando out 3 times in one fight or whatever the fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Then you punch him and bring him back, and then he armbars you.
Yeah.
It's not luck, but it is like, look, if you fought 10 times, you probably win that fight a whole lot more than you lose it.
Oh, for sure.
So that's the story, that it's one of those things where that's why we love sport, though, because you're going to go back and be like,
gotta get better.
Nothing to do about it.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a long sugarcoat on him being like, Dennis, you're probably like number 10. Probably like number 10 of the guys I worked with.
He's not in the top 10.
He's not?
No, he's not even in the top 10 featherweights I've worked with.
Nah, no, he's kidding.
I think I've only worked with 2. I mean...
but what, like you...
O'Malley would have beat this guy up in 16. No question.
Oh, right. You work with Sean a little... Or no, do you work with Sean? You work with his dad a little bit, right?
Yeah, we do. Well, we do a bunch of different things. Not as much right now, but I've known Sean since before he was in the UFC.
He looked great his last fight.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
We've had him on the show before, and he was going to maybe come on today. He was busy, and then we might, if I'll talk to Dennis, maybe we do another episode later this week or next week. We're going to get Sean O'Malley back on.
Yeah, tell him he's a little bitch. No, he's great. I told him, I said, hey, before the fight, I said, do you remember when Dominic Cruz got hurt and came back and fought Mizugaki?
Mm-hmm.
Cruz was off for like 2 years, and he came back, and and Mizugaki's good.
Yeah.
He's a really good guy, especially that time. He was really good. Maybe top 5 guy or 8 or something, and probably underrated. But Cruz just floored him. He just torched him. I was like, this is exactly what's going to happen. You're going to be, and he came back, and that guy he fought's good too, really good.
Oh yeah,
and just lit him up. So
I
was really happy to see that.
We were talking about that going into that fight, how Quinones is a fucking killer. Yeah. The guy he was fighting is a scrappy. He's tough.
Fucking tough, man.
Yeah.
I was like going to that fight. I'm like, oh god.
Like where the consensus is like maybe they're gonna groom O'Malley and give him easy fights. They gave him Quinones, and it was like, they're kind of giving him a guy who could easily catch you and put your lights out.
For sure. Like there's been previous fights with Sean where I'm like, all right, I'm not too worried about this one.
Yeah.
Like this is great, but this one I'm like, and it reminded me a lot of. You guys remember when Aaron Pico fought Henry Morales?
Yes.
And I heard that matchup, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Morales is a bad motherfucker.
All Pico's fights, yeah.
Really tough, and he hits super hard. I'm like, this guy's in his 3rd fight, and he's 21 or something. Like, you want to do this? And Corrales put it on him, man. Like, so, anyway, you got to be careful of those things.
Did you work with Pico a little bit, too?
No.
Well, I was going to say...
He lives he comes down here to the training lab with Sam and those guys pretty often, but we've never crossed paths.
Yeah, he's in New Mexico now.
Yeah. He kind of bounced.
Yeah, I remember I was in Albany watching him wrestle. Like, he was 17 years old, wrestling like a starter from Russia. And I think I was already like in the Ultimate Fighter a little bit, and I remember like watching. I'm like, what? It doesn't even make sense. Like just tooling this man, tooling a man. And then when I heard he wanted to get into fighting, I'm like, do not come in the UFC. and then when I saw him with the belt, I'm like, yes. Even though if he came to the UFC, I was fucking do what I gotta do. But like that's not like he's younger, like strong. And I heard he was like a Golden Gloves champion.
there's hard to argue someone who's had a better pedigree walking in, right? And he's like 4-3, which is to say, like, that just shows you how hard it really, really is to win 3, 4, 5, 6 fights in a row, even if they're giving you cans, which they did, except for Henry. But still, like, it's a really hard sport, man. It's just too easy to lose. There's too many ways to get clipped and caught, and
even Pico didn't have cans that big of cans. Pico had a tough. He had Morales. I know he had that dude Freeman, who's a badass, and then he had the alpha male guy. I forget the alpha male guy's name.
I don't remember, but yeah, it's a hard sport, like. You don't get to play the regulation.
I wonder, like, what was... I mean, do you think it was the money, the potential fame, or you think he just thought he would do better in it than wrestling? Like, 'cause he was headed towards being, like, the real deal. Well, no, he was already the real deal, but at such a young age.
I think he got pretty close to qualifying for the Olympics in his last year, 17 or something, 18, right?
Oh,
he was right there, like you said. I don't know.
Not the alpha male guy, the Henry Hoof guy, Borix.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Borix is a fucking killer. He shouldn't have fought Borix.
No, when I saw that matchup, because I've worked with that guy, and that guy's pretty young too, but he's from, like, another country. I don't even know, like...
Oh, yeah.
Adam Borix, yeah.
Adam Borix. And, like, I've worked with him, and I'm like, you're a kid. And I was, like, had to pour it on this guy to feel like, okay, like, safe. That kid's really good.
Yeah.
And
it's a tough sport, man.
He beat Leandro Higo, who's a fucking stud.
That's the one who he slept, right?
That's the...
Yep.
Did he sleep?
And he looked amazing in that fight.
Yeah, elbows and punches. Yeah. And that...
most likely he's going to fucking be a killer. He's going to go... He's probably going to win 20 fights in a row.
Yeah.
For sure. But
he's going to be...
So, from a... Again, we're talking to a goddamn scientist. We've had Doc on. We talked about how everybody only has so many rounds. Do you think, obviously, if Aaron started later in his career, he could go...
Well, I just looked at him. He's 23.
Yeah.
I thought he was like 25, maybe 26. No. He's 23. Mm-hmm. Still very young.
I'm just trying to think, or like when you touch the button and you get knocked unconscious so many times, right? Is that something that just becomes easier to do?
Nobody really knows. People say that all the time,
but I feel like I see it.
Yeah, there's some theory that the nerve behind your jaw just gets a little bit more sensitive, and so it shuts you out quicker on purpose for your own safety.
Right.
Yeah, they said like
it happens. Like you see guys like there's tons of guys, Vanderlei and Dan Henderson, guys who just had like Mark Hunt, the guys that had unbelievable jaws, and then all of a sudden they start just going out and out and out and getting wobbled left and right. Like I think Dan Henderson got wobbled or dropped in his last 7 fights or something, just like not once for 35 fights, and then all of a sudden. So it clearly happens. This is why it's so important to be real careful about headshots in the gym. And like you look at like guys like Rory. Rory was in the UFC at like 21 or 22 or something.
Right.
McDonald, yeah.
And you're like, God, he's been around for forever. And you're like, God, he's 27. Like, what? How'd that happen? I remember thinking the same thing about Nick Diaz. And you're like, oh man, he's gone in Strikeforce. Oh, he came back. And you're like, and he's 30. What? I feel like he's been around for forever because he's in the UFC at 19. So it's great. Like you can go be but the example on the backside of that is always John Jones, who was in the UFC at 19, or whatever he was, champion at 21 or something.
23.
Okay, 23, right? So, but then he only fought like once a year from there out.
Yeah.
Because of suspensions and being off, and so he's able to fight into his mid-30s because he's not fighting very often and he's not sparring hard, and because his style, he doesn't take shots really.
Yeah.
And then an example that's popping in my head is sometimes guys leave it in the gym, and the person I would use is someone you guys know very well is Pat
Cummings.
Yeah,
the way we're talking about Pat, like you said, you've seen Pat beat some of the top heavyweights and light heavyweights in the world in the gym, but then the way he always feels like it didn't always translate into the fights.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a guy that I don't know if age has anything to play with it, but he's also like he cut a lot of weight, but not crazy. And he always did it very smart and was. But I've seen, I mean, like myself, I feel like I was cutting like 30 pounds sometimes. You know, and I wasn't like I was a fat person. You know, like my buddy Ryan Flair cut a lot of weight and stuff. You know what I mean?
Parsons hit the nail on the head. You only have so many rounds. It's a true thing in fighting. Like basketball, baseball, football. Well, football is a little different, but basketball, baseball, they're all a little different. You only have so many rounds in fighting. It's very tough on the body, the mental toll tasks to go through a training camp and then lose a fight or even win a fight. Like it's a lot.
Yeah, I would almost like to have taken like my college wrestling strain I put on myself and put it towards fighting. You know what I mean? That definitely took years off my life. You know, making weight 2-3 times a week and, you know.
Yeah.
Wrestling.
Yeah, that stuff's all hard, you know. But there's always guys like that, and there's guys on the other side of that too, where you're like, you know, like Dan I don't know if Parsons talked about Dan Henderson, but he's legendary.
Yeah.
Like he's legendary in terms of being the last guy in the gym and the first guy out.
Yeah.
like wow, okay. And then you could people said, oh, he's lazy and he doesn't train hard, etc. But then he also fought longer than everybody else did.
Yeah.
So you tell me, like, there's a little bit of intelligence there to being like, yeah, you can put in all the miles when you're 25, but people will warn you, and if you listen, it'll work. If you don't, you're going to be out of the sport by 32.
Yeah. Andy's such an amazing person to work with because he watched me, like, evolve and get older, and I would, you know, hey, man, I feel like shit doing this. He's like, dude, your volume is, you're older now, Dennis. I'm like, yeah, but I need to still win. It's like, and then he's like, if I told you the things that, was it Randy Couture or Liddell? He's like, if I showed you what his week looked like before his last fight, you would laugh.
Who, Randy's week?
Was it Randy or was it Liddell?
Well, there's loads of people. I mean, there's tons of examples I could give on all those guys.
But their workload has to be way less because of.
Yeah, Liddell, I mean, if you watch what he did specifically before camps, you're like, how does this even happen? But the mentality for MMA camps, people get multiple things confused and conflated, right? Which is your skill development, your conditioning level, and then your weight management. And those are the three things people are always training around. But typically what I have found is people are just training through anxiety.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is you just want to train because of the anxiety, which is totally understandable. You only get to fight a couple times a year. The pressure is really, really, really high. It's embarrassing, your physical damage. And you don't get to try again for 6 more months probably.
Yeah.
And so it's really getting control of the anxiety and saying, look, like if you can really understand that, I know that when you're taking this day off, all you can feel and hear is like, shit, I'm not training right now. And if I lose because I get tired in a fight, all I'm going to think about is stay off right now. But it's what we call the short game versus the long game. So that anxiety is the short game. It's trying to get you to go again right now and do another round. Coach did this and do an extra. But the long game is understanding, okay, great. I'm trying to build a longer career. And if I can stay in this sport for 2 or 3 years longer, you make more money at the end.
For sure.
Right? Your fights at the end of there, or when you're paying, you're going to make more probably in your last fight than you did in your first 7 fights combined.
Right.
So that's what you're really going after, and being able to get in and out of camps longer, not being completely shut down before you want to be shut down. If you want to be shut down at 7, fine, but at least being able to make that choice and not having your body take that choice from you.
Yeah.
Like BJ. Like BJ's a classic example. Just like his body took that choice from him.
Right.
Couldn't give it up, right?
Fighters are always playing that game of on the walkout or in the locker room beforehand, or even a couple of days before the fight of, did I do enough?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
and
even
then
jiu-jitsu competitors, wrestlers, everybody plays that game.
Yeah. But so like working with Andy and then going to the gym, and I started out doing my own thing. I met him. He would tell me what to do, and I'd still do my own thing. I slowly started
through
to
Doc,
merge. Right? Yes. But the thing is, me doing my own thing, even though he told me to do another's because of the gym setting and kind of the people around me, like almost like that's all you're gonna do. What do you mean you're done? Like more uneducated people sometimes can be. I'm not saying the people I work with are uneducated, but just in general, more is better.
What's that test that we talked about?
The reaction.
Where you check the levels and it's like, I shouldn't train today.
Oh, the Mega Wave.
The Mega Waves. Yeah. Did you do those with him?
He's got a different program, but the Mega Wave gives you definitely a ballpark.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
there's lots of metrics. I mean, with the where I differ with, especially what I do now, is people don't really understand the human being part of this equation, right? So,
Keep talking.
okay, yeah, you can track your mileage, you can check your heart rate, you can track your HRV and all that stuff. That's great. But when you come home and you got to watch your kid because he got sick and had to stay at home today, or you get into an argument, or you realize that your furnace broke and that's 10 extra grand and you didn't allot for that, now you can't pay, and then you can't afford to pay your and all these other problems start kicking in. All the stress adds up, right? So what you have to be able to do is understand which lever to pull and which one to not pull. And so while you go to your wrestling practice and the wrestling team is like, well, this is what we do for conditioning, you're this far out and we do this drill and this is how many times we do it and this is how many laps, they're not factoring any other thing in the equation, right? And so if we're factoring everything in, we're accounting for the entire human being, and we're like, well, that's great, we typically do 7 rounds of this drill that we like to do for conditioning, but this is not a good choice because we're 3 weeks out, or we're 7 weeks out, or we're hurt right now, or hey, we came into camp in a great spot, or we're low on calories today. Like, all these things need to change the equation. And so you're right, it's not that they're uneducated, but they're just not taking the most full account for the human being that we can, right? Because we may say, like another example, simply game planning. Right? So hey, the game plan of this fight is not actually to wrestle a lot, and so we're not going to do the 7 rounds in the wrestling thing today. We're going to do 5 because we need to save 2 rounds because we want to get more striking work in.
Right. Because that's, I mean, I know when I was wrestling, I would just start going, like, especially as the season started coming to an end and, like, it was getting closer to, like, I would start going harder and harder, probably entirely. I mean, I didn't think of it at the time, but because of anxiety.
yeah.
100%. It's 100% anxiety, but in that case, you have one thing to prepare for.
Right.
And so it's a little bit okay, because if you go empty your gas tank in wrestling practice, you know for sure you got the thing done that you needed to get done.
Right.
You can't do that in MMA, because then you're like, oh, okay, I emptied the gas tank in wrestling, but now I'm going to have anxiety because I'm going to go to my striking practice and I'm going to probably perform poorly.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm going to go to strength conditioning and perform poorly. And that brings anxiety because you're like, oh my God, I'm weak. Oh, look at that. Oh, man. Right, so that's the cycle that you run into when you've got multiple things to train for. And so you have to be strategic. And so what I really do now, and even like we started with you guys a little bit, but the system's much better now, is understanding where to put the energy in the camp, and understanding it's really prioritization.
Yeah.
And having the entire team understanding where to prioritize energy.
Right. So Stan, you started talking about like metrics and stats and stuff like that, which I liked all that stuff just to kind of see where I'm at. And Andy, even though he's a scientist and used all these metrics, stuff like that, wrote a book essentially on like, hey, you gotta be kind of connected with yourself rather than, you know what I mean?
Yes. Is this your only book, or you got multiple books?
That's it, bro. One and done.
All right, Unplugged. Dr. Andy Galpin right there.
He also worked with Brian McKenzie, who's like a breathing expert.
Brian McKenzie.
I never met Phil White.
You've met Brian?
He's a writer.
Okay. So he took all of your guys' words and like translated it for someone like me to read.
Right, and organized it and did all the making sure that there's commas and periods and words aren't spelled wrong and all that stuff. So creatively it was Brian and I, but yeah, we still use all those metrics, but a good example
but
of that
at the
is,
end of the day,
you got to know you, man. You got to tell me.
Right.
I mean, we had this happen with Hot Sauce a bunch, where we'll track HRV in camp, and wakes up and is like, he'll call me or text and be like, hey, HRV's in the tank today, but here's the plan. And we've been like, all right, and we test a lot of times, and we're like, oh, just go do the workout anyways. And he'll get 5 minutes in the workout, and he's like, I feel great.
Yeah.
And he has a great training session. And the days he gets hurt, we'll go look back at the HRV and be like, well, no, HRV was great that day.
What is HRV?
It's called heart rate variability. It's in this case, it's a metric for your central nervous system, which is a metric of saying, are you recovered or not?
Okay.
Right. So it's just tracking to say like, hey, are you overworked right now? Do you need a day off?
Something
and in theory, if the score is low,
similar but different than the Megawave.
It's similar. That's what a Megawave is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing. They're just different brands of it, companies of it. So yeah, we just haven't honestly had a huge amount of success with those things. When you have people, in my experience, athletes that are really in touch with themselves and that pay attention. And Hot Sauce is one of those guys. He's a pro, like I said earlier. So he just really he's on it. Like, this is what he really does. Other folks, sometimes they're not paying attention. Like, I'll ask, like, how you feeling today? And it's like, great, every single day. All right, then I have to ask again. Oh, like half the other people I work with.
Oh, yeah.
I won't say names.
Yeah.
But there's some where I'm like, all right, I don't trust you. When I ask you how you feel, if I ask Scotty how he feels, he'll tell me.
Yeah.
Like, for sure, and I know. If I ask other people how they feel, I'm like, I'm not even going to ask you because I don't trust you at all.
Yeah.
Not that they're lying, but they're not really even paying attention. They don't, if I'm like, how you feeling today? They're like, great. And I'm like, how's your hamstrings? And I'm like, oh shit, actually my hamstrings are blown up. How's your neck? Oh fuck, my neck is killing me. Okay, great. How'd you sleep? Oh, I slept terrible. Like, nothing about you feels great. What are you talking about? Why'd you sleep there? I don't know. So, you know what I mean?
Sometimes I'd go in to see like my physical therapist, and he'd be like, "So what's up today?" I'm like, I don't, or even a massage. I'm like, I don't know. I guess just kind of give me a full body, and they'll get to my hands like, oh shit, that's really tight.
Exactly.
Who's that? Ghostface?
Yeah, sorry. I think there was a lizard on the wall or something he went to go chase.
Oh, you know his dog's name?
Yeah.
We're tight. I've been to his house for bison and shit. Nelk.
Oh, for sure. Like I said, Andy, it's as if you've been on the show before numerous times. How often you're talked about here?
Yeah.
I basically co-host, really.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like a silent third-party co-host.
Yeah. Well, if I need like verification on something, like almost like how like when you had to write essays and you had to like use it like what's the word? Like a reference, you had to put all your references in the back of I reference you all the time. Like, no, Andy told me it's.
Well, even when Menace sent me the text, like Andy Galpin's coming, I'm like, fucking about time, bro. I've heard enough about this guy without talking to him. Like,
I'm starting to get offended, man. I didn't think I'd ever get the invite.
Oh, stop.
I'm like, man, all these other guys are getting on there, and
no, we've
Pat
actually.
Cummins gets on the show, I can't get on.
You know what happens? We're like not consistent. We're consistent that we'll put an episode out a week, but we're not consistent with our when we're doing the episode thing the way we should be. So there have been times where we've talked about having you on, and then we kind of like scrap the whole show, and then do it a few days later, and then just snowball effect. Everything changes.
I get it. I'm the backup plan. You're like, oh, let's get Andy on. Unless we could find somebody better. Oh, found somebody better. Kick him down.
No, not at all. You were one of our first go-tos for this week.
Well, he's available. He's not like he's like fighting people,
Yeah. And Menace said to
hey,
me,
babe, sorry, I can't change the diaper. Gotta go do a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're helping you out right now, yeah. So now, are you the diaper changing, or are you that?
It's a lot. Look, there's a lot of shit going on around my house, and there's a lot of diapers to be changed. So it's a shared workload.
Done? 2 and done?
Most definitely.
Boy or girl?
Most definitely. The pregnancies were super hard on Natasha, so
Okay.
she didn't even want to do the second one. She's just like, don't make me do this again. I'm like, I'm not making you do anything. But they're really tough. So she's just like, she keeps saying, she's like, man, if something happens when one of our kids dies or something, she's like, we're not replacing it. It's over.
I feel like I would go the opposite way. If like one of my kids died, like just kill the other one too. I'm gonna just go.
We gotta have a talk, bud. Sorry, man. Your days are done.
I would just go like kill myself. I don't know, or go into a depression.
Yeah. I bet your boys are getting fun right now, though.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. But like they're like so Max like, hey, Dad, let's go play football. I'm like, but you're like not good. Like you still can't really catch. Not really fun.
He's trying though.
No, I'm kidding. No,
get your skills up a little bit, huh?
Yeah. Go practice and then come see me when you're ready to compete.
Go play with your uncle or something. I don't want to.
Man, I feel like when they become teenagers, I'm gonna like resurge as an athlete.
Oh, for
Try
sure.
to keep up with them.
100%.
Ghostface.
Probably. That's Noki, actually. Ghostface is.
Oh, you have 2?
Yeah.
Damn, you got the full house.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of poop going on.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Back full of poop. Diapers are full of poop.
Man.
I'm sure the wife's doing the diapers. She's not doing the dog shit though, is she?
No.
Yeah, that's your designated job, I'm sure.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
One of many.
So Andy Galpin, you're one of the smartest people we've ever had on the show.
Yep.
Is your take or advice on the coronavirus any different than the news has given us? What can people do to boost their immune system? Any special tips you can give to our audience? Anything? Nothing.
Well, you can't really boost your immune system. That's not really how it works. You can maintain function, if you will. So if you're immunodeprived somehow because of a poor diet or sleep, eating real food, sleeping, honestly, like the third grade advice is going to work fantastic. So this is a great time if you can to get consistent sleep. If you can and you have access, I know food's really hard, but just try to eat more whole, real food. Things like that will help. But if you get it, you get it. Most people are going to be asymptomatic, so you're not even going to know, or you'll be mildly symptomatic. So there's nothing really you can do. The only thing, by far the most effective thing you can do is just not contract it in the first place. So stay the hell away from people. Clean the if you're getting packages from Amazon or something. Clean those things, or be really careful about that touching, because that can bring it in. But other than that, just take the time to sleep, be healthy. Good excuse to do a lot of stretching and mobility, do some FRC and stuff like that. All can be done with your body weight in the house, and loosen up your hips or whatever if that's causing your back pain. Fix your shoulder. There's a lot of things you can do at home, and there's loads of stuff online that people are putting out there.
That's what I was going to say too. So the way people are doing everything online, are you doing anything online for your clients or for the general public, anything like that?
No, general public, I don't ever do stuff for.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the athletes, it doesn't stop for us. So baseball players are doing in-house, like in their apartment workouts. Brian is doing what we call prison workouts.
Getting swole.
It's like push-ups, sit-ups,
squats.
Shit like. He loves it. This is that's basically all he used to do before anyways.
Yeah.
So he fought Max, and he fought world championship fights doing nothing but push-ups and sit-ups and just ridiculous prison workouts, as he calls them. So he's back to doing that, but he loves it for a couple weeks. And he'll get back on the strength training program as soon as we can get back in the gym.
That's one of my favorite things about Brian Ortega. A lot of like casuals and people, they think because the way he looks, he's like clean cut. I'm like, nah, I'm pretty sure he's a fucking gangster. Like he's from the hood.
Oh, word?
You guys have no idea.
Yeah. No, he's from
guy
the
is as real as it gets, like that.
But he looks, his appearance, it's like, oh, this guy's got blue eyes, nice wavy hair, like he's a hipster. No, he's a fucking gangster.
Brian Ortega's I didn't know that about him. One of my first interactions with Brian Ortega, he had just gotten to UFC. We were at a UFC summit where they flew us in like groups to Vegas, and he was in my group of like 30. And it's like me, Chris Wade, Michael Johnson, at the one end of the table. And he had got there like kind of early and was sitting there, and he was by himself. And I'm like, I don't know, this guy's got to look about. I'm like, I know he's in my weight class, but like it seemed like he wouldn't keep his eyes off me. I'm like, yo, man, is this? Stop looking. Like, he just seemed like every time I looked in his direction, he was looking at me. At the time, I think I was like 6 in the...
Ooh,
I think I was up there. Yeah, I
knew
he was sizing me up. I'm like, yo, you don't want this smoke, dog. Like, you did, like, start looking at these other dudes, because you ain't here yet.
Yeah.
Now he's fight for the title probably again before he's done.
Well, now that we got retired Menace, he's peaceful with everybody.
Yeah. No, he's a great guy. He really is. Super, super generous, really big heart. But man, he
so him smacking that Korean dude makes sense.
Yeah,
dude. So I saw him like 2 weeks ago or something, right? And he came into the gym, and this was like the Monday after all that stuff went down, and he just put his head down. And he's like, "I'm sorry, man." I'm like, because he knew, he was like a 12-year-old. Like when your 9-year-old walks in the room, you're like, "What did?" And he's just like, I didn't have to say anything. He's just like, I gotta stop getting in trouble. But I knew, like when he said that a month before or whatever, he's like, if I see this dude, I'm slapping him. I was like, dude, do not, Brian. Like, because people say that,
right? But
I'm like, you guys understand where this guy's from. Like, if he says he's gonna slap you on site, he's gonna slap you on site. It doesn't matter. Like, put the fucking all cops there. Like, it doesn't matter. He's gonna slap you. Because where he's from, like honor and your word, this stuff is really, really big deal. And so we're like, just do not do this. And he's like, if I see the dude, I'm slapping him. And we're like, oh, fantastic. Show enough. Like, and there's more to the story I can tell you guys.
Because I saw some articles on it. And I was just At
There's a
first,
lot more to the story that people don't really know. There's a lot more. It's really funny, but I mean, he knows. Like, he's like, man, I gotta stop doing that. But he's made a lot of improvements on that side of his life. He's made a
right,
lot, but
he does like a huge charity, right?
he does a lot, but he's young.
How old is he?
He hasn't been able. 20, late 20s,
Okay.
something like that. But he's also young money, you know, like he doesn't come from anything, so he's just not used to the fame, and he's not used to the. So he's still like young like that, you know, like.
Yeah.
And he knows better. He's making better stuff. He's cleaned up a lot of his life, but dude, he lives right across the street from the jail.
Oh wow.
And I was like, why do you live right here? And he's like, because I want to be as close to the cops as I possibly can. So he literally legit got a house right across the street from the precinct because he's like, I gotta be as close as I can to these guys.
Just so he isn't fucking up, like.
Yeah. Trying to be more accountable and like, and just breaking those habits and breaking those circles, and staying busy and things like that. Like I gave him a ton of training to do right now because I'm like, you know, idle mind is a devil's workshop kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Make bad decisions, you know, like get you super tired and keep you real busy. And the fact that he's in LA, man. I mean, you guys know this because you're in New York a little, Den. But like, imagine if you were in the city too, and you have the stuff he has. But
the access.
I mean, people every day, major celebrities are like, yo, bro, come up and do this, come to this party, come to this. And he's just like, nope. And I'm like, good. And just like big stuff. And he's like, I got to do this because, you know, such and such wants me to come up to this party, whatever. And Modelo wants me to do it or whatever. And in camp, we have to just be like, no. So he's getting a lot better.
In camp, I'd be awesome being no. Outside of camp, I'm like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
And it's hard, man. So he's getting better, but he's fun, man. He's super fun to work with. All you guys are special and different, and he's a different kind of different. But I told him this like straight up. I said, like, this is after he fought Max, and I was like, man, you fought for a world title. You're 14-1, and you're one of the least athletic fighters I've ever worked with.
Really?
Like, physically. Dude, if we get you even remotely athletic, you're going to be fucking unstoppable. It's not that he's not athletic. He's not trained in those areas at all. You know what I mean? Like, his speed, his strength, like all that stuff is really, really low. And he's like, okay, and now we've been training it.
He's got probably amazing, like, static strength. Because I've seen him grab some dude's fucking neck.
In the third round, yeah.
He's got special strength. Like, if you put him in a weight room, you'd be like, wow.
Yeah.
What the hell? But when he grabs your neck, you're just like, they're like, I thought I was going to die. My head is going to explode. I never felt anything like that. And I've seen him do things in training, man, in sparring, where you're like, how did you even do that?
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. The way I describe Brian is he's playing a different game than everybody else is. Like, when he's fighting, he's playing a way different game. And he has one special skill, fighting-wise, that I've only seen in a few people, and it's his vision. Like, he sees fighting is so natural because he's been in so many fights to him, but it's just so natural. I mean, kind of like you had, where you're just like, some people just don't care about getting punched. No one likes to get punched.
Right.
But it just doesn't really affect them too much.
Right.
And he has that where, like, he can see punches and stuff, and he's fine just slipping the punch and moving. The problem is, at this point in his career, he just didn't have the offensive skill set to do much back. But his vision with what he sees and was able to move, and his what's the word I'm looking for? But his fight instincts are just so off the chart.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, if we can put the physical stuff, which the beauty of it is, I'm like, dude, that's the stuff that we can't train or teach.
Right. And you already got it.
And we can put the physical stuff just to be moderate, and you can match that stuff, and then striking-wise, developing some offensive skills outside of just natural punching power and instinct. Then you got a real chance to be real competitive. Because when he fought Max, he just didn't know what to do. You know, like,
he
you
looked
watch a
awesome against Frankie. I never saw that in my life. I was like, what?
All natural, man. Like, he saw what Frankie was doing, and I could tell you, there's 3 times in his finishes that I could tell you about where, like, they made the finish up in the locker room right before they walked out. So I was in Fresno when he fought Cub Swanson. And remember when he choked out Cub?
Yep.
Dude, I swear to God, Henner legit showed him that right before they walked out.
What, the guillotine?
That specific jumping guillotine up against the fence like that.
Yeah.
And Brian was like, no, that's not going to work. And Henner was like, no, I'm telling you, do it. And he got in that situation, he did it, and it worked like immediately.
Yeah. Jeez.
He did that in the Moicano fight, the same thing. The Moicano fight was exactly like they was down. They was to figure out like, okay, if we do this combo in this spot, he always shoots a double or always shoots a single leg off of it. You can grab his neck, and he did it, and exactly what Moicano did, and pulled him. And then there was another one too where he showed him right as they walked out, and he did it, and then he got a submission like that too.
Yeah, but I mean that's like. So him with jiu-jitsu is kind of like me with wrestling. You could just show me one thing, like, oh, okay, yeah, that's
100%.
You know what I mean? It's like if they were trying to show me a submission before I walked up, I'm like, hang on, I need like 70 more reps.
Yeah, that's what I mean. With like he plays a different game out there, because he's not like in practice and stuff. He's not looking for things. He's just so comfortable and confident in there. There's nothing phases him. That he can go for things in submissions in positions where you're like, oh, you lost the position. He's like, I don't even care about the position.
Yeah.
Because he has that ender skill, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of like just like you had with wrestling, you know, where it's like I don't really have to work my punches that much to make sure I'm in the right spot. Because if I need to go for takedown, like I can just do it. This is going to happen.
Yeah.
You're just going to react before you even know what's going to happen,
Right.
really. So you get that same instinct you had just in a different area of the game.
So now, Andy, do you watch fights?
Huge fan.
Huge fan.
Yeah, it's it's part of my job.
Okay, so
You
before
know?
we get you out of here, we'll talk
now, so.
if Dana White says Tony versus Khabib is happening. He says he has a location. He's bringing the whole card, probably to Russia or somewhere. Who do you think wins that fight?
Look, my former student is Tony's strength coach.
Okay.
One of them. I think I don't know if he works for him right now because Tony has like 1,000 different coaches and he just makes shit up.
Yeah.
I was going to
Have
say.
you trained with Tony?
I have.
Have you trained with him?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he used to train at Rain a lot, so
Yeah.
I used to see him down there a lot. He just makes things up as he goes the whole time. That's a hard fight for Tony to win, though, to be honest with you.
That's what I told him. I said I don't think he has a chance.
That's a hard fight for him to win.
I think Tony gives
Tony
Khabib
has
problems.
Tony has that I does not get tired. Tony has that same mentality too. Like Tony doesn't give a fuck, and that counts a lot.
Yeah, but
And
if
he's
you can't move, not giving a fuck doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't think people have fought Tony very smart the last couple of fights too. People just don't pay attention.
Now he's definitely a gamer, cause like I've sparred him and I was like taking him down at will. I'm like, this is also before he is where he is now, you know.
Yeah.
But just in the back of my head, I was like, I don't know. He didn't feel super strong. I mean, he did some like funkier things, I guess. I don't know, but it wasn't like. I was like, I could definitely beat him for sure. Like, you know.
So here's a good example, right? And this isn't to talk shit about Tony at all.
No.
But like let's look at some of his stuff. He's won 11 fights in a row in that division against.
This is insane.
Like 7.
That's
just
what
insane.
I'm saying. Is I think he's a fucking gamer. I think when the brighter it shines, I think he gets. I don't know.
Well, he goes crazy. He goes straight into crazy mode, and he just goes to a level of crazy people don't understand.
Now, also, he didn't. I don't think he knew who I was. I mean, there's a lot of elements like we're just training. Maybe what you know. What I mean, there's a lot of elements that. You know.
But if you go back, remember when he fought Lando Veneta?
Yeah.
Tony got dropped like 5 times in that fight, right? Easily, like within a blink of there, that fight could have been over, right? They could have stopped that fight. One more thing, and all of a sudden, and that happened to him against
Pettis.
Anthony Pettis. That happened to him against somebody else in between that. So that like 11 fight streak could have like this close.
Yeah.
Could be 7-3.
Right.
Which is still crazy good. And the guys he's beat, the way he's beat him, Barbosa landed on him big time too, right? So it's not that thing is fake. It's just that he just caught a good run. He's super fucking tough. He's so good, and he had a couple of things bounce his right way when he needed to. You know what I mean? Like 7-3 versus 10-0 is that close sometimes. So when you look at Khabib, though, that's chalk, man. Like, there hasn't been anybody put anything on him, even close.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Al punched him up pretty good, but other than that, man. So, yeah, Tony could, I guess, triangle him or something. Things can happen, but
I don't think
those dudes fight 10 times. Khabib's coming out of there a lot of the times with feeling good about himself. So
now I think Khabib is the guy. I just think when they fight, Tony's gonna have something for him. I don't know why. I just think.
Well, Tony's gonna put his hands on his face immediately.
Yeah, I think Tony's gonna cut him up. It's gonna be the first time Khabib's ever been cut up, and I think.
I don't think Khabib will give a flying fuck about getting cut. Though.
No, I'm just saying, and I think if that fight, so first and second round are gonna be all Khabib. Third round will be interesting, and then I think fourth and fifth round are gonna be Tony's.
If I'm a betting man,
You're going.
I would bet it doesn't get into those championship rounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how?
Unless he wants to.
Khabib doesn't TKO people.
What do you mean? He holds them down and punches them into submission.
Submits them. He submits them. He decisions them or he submits them. He doesn't knock people out.
I think he could TKO him.
Maybe. I mean, nobody else is really. I don't think anyone else is TKO Tony. At least, definitely not in the UFC.
Or the amount of energy that Tony's gonna have to use to even get back to his feet
To make it to those rounds.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting fight.
And I also think like the culture too. Like the amount of lashings Khabib will get if he loses.
Well, if he loses,
the thing about
moving
that
to
you
California.
get to is like, I think you would generally say Tony has the better gas tank, right?
Yes.
Over the 5-round fight.
Yeah,
That
I would
favors
say
him,
he could run faster or further than him.
Yeah, but when you're on top and you're a wrestler, you get to take a lot of breaks if you want, if you know how to do them. And Khabib has that skill set to understand when he's safe, when he's not.
Right.
So he can make his gas tank look a lot better than it actually is.
Yes.
By getting up against the cage, putting his head, tucking it like so he can't get elbowed and stuff, and do enough things to where he's comfortable. To where it just Tony might be like sprinting the last round. But I just don't know if it'll matter.
A real thing though is like Tony cutting him really bad, where the commission's like, this can't continue.
Well, in Brooklyn that could have been a real thing, but now it's not going to be in New York. So depending on where they have the fight, and like we said, we think Dana should hit up Lorenzo, be like, yo, I need your yacht for Saturday night.
How cool would that be?
International waters.
Yeah. That's a really good idea.
What do you want, Dana? I need your yacht for the weekend. We're going to do weigh-ins and the fights.
Yeah. Yep. It's gonna be fun though, man. Either way, that they're both.
Well, they're doing like
both supremely talented and very fun to watch. So.
What happened?
They're both just. I mean, they're not training with like too many people.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, Tony. That's why when you said you trained Tony's coach, I'm like, what did you teach him to run into fucking boxes and shit? Like Tony's, the way he trains is fucking insane.
Yeah, there's plenty of stories on that too, where he's just like, because I'm mentoring this kid, he's I think he even cornered Tony for his interim title fight or something, and it's just like the kid is basically turning around to me and being like, oh my god, what do I do, blah blah blah, and then I tell him, and he turns around, goes, Tony, because he's like every day he's like, this guy's crazy, I don't know what to even do, like we're going to Big Bear, and he's just gonna like build this thing, and that's training for today, and then he's just gonna kick the wall. So then he wants to deadlift. He's like, what do I even? I'm like, all right. Like, so.
Yeah. Because we had Jeremy Stevens on, and he said for his last camp, he was training with Ferguson. And he just said, dude, this dude just trains for like 8 hours a day.
Oh, yeah, like a 9 to 5.
I'm not surprised, man.
And I've heard Chael say it, like what Tony would do is they'd be like, all right, practice. And then when practice is done, Tony would be like, anybody else want to keep going? And the whole class would rotate in on him and like quit. Like a round, they'd be done. Another round, they'd be done. Another round, they'd be done. And Tony'd still be like, anybody else? Anybody else?
Right. But here's the problem with that, is it's sort of like if Anderson Silva did nothing but punch a heavy bag. Mm-hmm. Like that's already your greatest skill set. You're not going to lose the fight because you're conditioning. It's already well beyond what it needs to be. So you should probably take that energy and Develop the stuff that you're really behind at. But he doesn't do that, right? So that's what I mean. Like, it's just not a good use of priority, right? It's not a good use of energy because you only fight 25-minute fights. So you don't need to have the gas tank. You want to have gas tank where you can finish that 25-minute. Yeah. It's not a wrestling tournament where you got to have 6 matches in a day. You got one. You never fight more than once a day ever again.
Yeah.
So take that energy you have and get better at the physical side of the equation that you're not good at. Strength, muscle, like speed, things like that. He just doesn't have a lot of. So
he is pretty tall.
He's a lot.
Yeah, he's lanky.
He seems like he's a lot bigger than.
He's
Khabib.
like 6'2", like 6'1". 155. I mean, that's
and I think
pretty big man.
But Khabib is.
Yeah.
However tall Khabib is, 5'9" or something. Khabib weighs 200 pounds too. 190
Yeah.
and cuts to 55. I think Tony probably weighs 195, 200 as well.
You think? I don't think so. I don't think he's
does.
that big.
No, he's not nearly that big.
He's like a skinny dude. Yeah, he's like a skinny.
Yeah,
dude.
he's super skinny.
He seems bigger than Khabib.
He has no legs at all, no glutes, no hamstrings, nothing.
He's got those
Yeah,
chicken
those fucking
legs.
muscles. Those muscles hold so much damn weight.
Yeah. My gents, my phone is gonna die here.
Good.
Any
We're
seconds,
done with you.
So.
All right. Do people call you Dr. Galpin?
No.
Hey, sweetheart, you call me anything you want. You keep wearing a jacket like that, you can call me anything you want.
Just call me later. Ooh.
Ooh. I like that.
Hey!
All right. Andy Galpin, PhD. Thank you for joining us. We'll definitely do this again sometime soon.
Get his book Unplugged. Follow him on social media. What is it? Andy Galpin? At Andy Galpin?
Dr. Andy Galpin.
All right. Andy Galpin, you're the man. Thank you for the time. We'll talk to you soon.
See you, gentlemen.
Peace, bruv. The awkward hang up.
The awkward. Still looking at each other with no
He's
voice.
He's so knowledgeable on like a lot of things.
Oh yeah.